Welcome to Nice Ashes. I'm Mike.
And I'm Nate. And we have a special guest this episode. We have Jordan with us. Hello, Jordan.
Hey, how's it going, guys? It's a pleasure to be here.
Pleasure to talk to you.
Now, what are we smoking, Mike?
We are smoking the Fireball Cigar.
And this is the one after the liquor, right?
Yes, this is the one after the liquor. And it smells kind of like a vanilla bourbon. And
yeah, I thought it was going to be a lot more cinnamony.
Yeah, it tastes basically like sugar. I wouldn't say cinnamon sugar.
You know, I do get a little hint of cinnamon, though, on the tongue. What about you, Jordan?
When you first brought this up to me, I was thinking, I cannot believe I'm going back to be a college freshman female, but I'm pretty excited about this one. I'm not a cigar smoker at all, and this has got me really excited because I absolutely love Fireball, and I love the concept of Fireball in a cigar.
Yes, and we all have Fireball on Ice at your Disney Megaplex coming this winter. But we have some Fireball in a glass, and Jordan and I have a side of Coors Light, just to keep things extra classy.
Yes, and I'm chasing mine with water, which is something I definitely don't think I've ever done with Fireball.
Now, Jordan said the last time he smoked a cigar was maybe 5 years before the economic collapse of 2008.
That is correct.
So we'll be gentle with him, won't we, Mike?
Well, you know,
what's the safe word? Tell exactly. Jordan what the safe word is.
Diphthong. Safe word is blueberry.
Blueberry.
All right. So normally what we do is after we've cut it, this is a V cut. You might be used to that, or might you be used to just the straight cut?
Straight cut is all I've done. I have no idea what V cut. I see that it's a V.
Yes.
So
apparently it helps the smoke flow, the airflow, and improves the taste and stuff. So you get a little bit more of the cap, because sometimes cigars will sweeten the cap instead of the whole thing. So then we burn the foot, Mike, right?
Yep.
Just apply the lighter to the end of it to get it hot. Are you lit, Mike?
Yes, I am.
Okay. So correct me if I'm wrong, Mike, but I'm getting like some really crazy Swisher Sweet type vibes.
I'm getting smoking a wood tip with my dad in a dinghy boat when I am 12 years old vibes, for sure. Like this tastes just like a wood tip should taste. Not how they do now to me.
Yeah.
But how they tasted to me like when I could not legally purchase them, right?
You mean you smoked these when you were 18?
Yes.
Back before they changed the smoking age to 21.
Yes.
So I'm going to take a sip of my Fireball and see if that improves or how that changes. Because sometimes with these cigars, you don't know if they're meant to pair with the drink that they're named after or if they're meant to embody the drink. And now that I put mine down before even taking a sip of Fireball, I'm getting some cinnamon after notes.
I think you're imagining that because I'm not getting any cinnamon at all. Jordan, are you?
I'm not getting any cinnamon. I'm getting more, it's almost like a vanilla on my lips, and that's about it.
Okay.
It tastes fine. It pairs fine with the Fireball, but
yeah, it actually does pair fine with the Fireball.
It's kind of a surprising thing. So when we discussed this before the show, we were not convinced that this was going to be a wise decision.
Yeah, especially if the cinnamon cigar was too much cinnamon, and then you're drinking a cinnamon drink, seems like overkill. So you're not going to have like a coffee flavored something while drinking coffee, most likely.
It definitely has that Swisher Sweet taste, though. Like, it's definitely, for me, being a non-cigar smoker, it is very mild and I would say very smooth for cigars that I've had in the past. It's nice. I like it.
Yeah, but I think it's fine so far. I didn't quite know what to expect.
I didn't have any expectations because it could have been anything, but it is basically an upgraded Swisher Sweet at this point. It's what you want a Swisher Sweet to be.
Yeah.
I think that's a good way to say it.
Yeah, it's not terribly... it's a little bit longer and slightly girthier than a Swisher Sweet from my recollecting. But the last Swisher Sweet I said he'd been in the pool or something, so might not be a good judge.
Little pruny.
Little pruny. So Jordan brought us some really nice looking stuff, Mike.
Oh my. And what is that?
Well, why don't I send you a photograph of it?
It's a good thing I turned my volume off. I used to get in trouble for that, Jordan, believe it or not. Nate would get angry at me. As I would be on call.
I don't think I ever got angry.
and then get work calls during the show.
Not angry, Mike, just disappointed.
There we go.
I'm not mad. I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed. I gotcha. Yep. Always got to pull the dad jokes out and the dad phrases.
This is awesome. I dig it.
Yeah, so I guess part that we can start with here. So back in May, I officially started my side project. I started my LLC for it. And what I do, or what I've been doing for the last 5 years, has been putting logos on shirts, doing, glass etching, laser engraving, stuff of that sort. Now that I started this LLC, I'm doing it unofficially below part-time, but I started doing these stickers and things of that sort. And it's been a pretty wild ride because a lot more people are interested in getting customized things without having to spend the money on the setup fees, the artwork, things of that sort. And all this stuff that I do is really just a passion project for me. So I enjoy doing the design work and things of that sort. So I've been doing that stuff for free for people. And, I end up charging anywhere between $10 to $20 per shirt, depending on what they're getting. And they end up paying me about double that because they're like, if I went somewhere else, I'd be paying $50 for this shirt. I can pay you $25 or $30 for it, which is nice that people are that way. And, it kind of takes me part to the tip culture, which I don't like the tip culture that much, but at the same time, it's nice when it's coming in your favor.
So my wife and I have gotten some shirts from Jordan. So he does a lot of different styles, and my favorite style he does is emulsion because it's fun to say, but he does the emulsion printing. But we had some shirts that the first shirts that I got from you, the things are kind of peeling off now, but that's kind of what I would say was a step above, the iron-on logos at home.
Correct. Yep. So those would be heat transfer vinyl.
Heat transfer vinyl. And They looked really sharp. They were on very, very stretchy fabric, which I'm sure...
It doesn't favor...
Yeah, but that was a long time ago. That was...
Absolutely.
What, 5...
It's probably shortly after I really started getting deep into it.
Yep. And I know my wife just placed another order with you of a whole bunch of shirts. And Everybody loved those. And I think that was the emulsion.
Yep. So
printing.
The technical term is sublimation.
Oh, sublimation. Sorry.
It's virtually, they're not interchangeable words, but it's kind of the same type of concept. So sublimation ink is super interesting because it's a standard type of ink. But what's really cool about it is when you heat it up to a certain temperature, which is 370 degrees, it becomes a gas. That gas naturally bonds with polyester or polymer and will become a element bond. They bond with each other. So the ink actually becomes part of the shirt. So the shirt will fall apart, or, I can do glasses, I can do steel tumblers, I can do all that type of stuff with this. And the cool part is, the actual material that you put it on will fail or fall apart before the ink fades because it's a bond. So it's actually some really cool stuff, and being able to make glass, being able to make, full color glass images or stuff of that sort. It's wild to see when you see a completed project firsthand. It's wow, I just made that in my house.
Yeah, it's really cool. And who is your muse that ends up on most of your things?
If it's not you, it's normally Macho Man Randy Savage or Bill Murray.
Oh yeah.
I was hoping you're gonna do that. I absolutely love Macho Man's character and who he is, and Bill Murray is he's always had that key to my funny bone. He's just always been that guy that. It's just something about him and the Macho Man has just been they end up on a lot of my stuff that I make.
Heck yeah. Well, the Macho Man's a legend. My wife even listens to Macho Man rap music. So that's really cool. Funnily enough, I might have an order for you for a couple shirts.
No, absolutely. I'm happy to help you out. And like I said, I don't like saying cheap because it seems like it diminishes the quality of something. So I normally say inexpensive. I'm the most inexpensive you're going to find out there. And, I do everything out of my house. I do everything everything all the material, all the stuff the equipment, everything's completely paid off. So it's not like I have to pay it off and I have to charge people or overcharge people for stuff. I just do it for the fun of it. And if I'm making some money on the side, I'm making some money on the side to be able to spend on these new Fireball cigars in the future here.
Yeah, and this is weird because these ones I ended up buying these ones, and typically I don't buy cigars for the show. So I don't remember what I spent for them, but I'm going to look it up right now because I didn't order them that long ago, I don't think, Mike.
It wasn't crazy long ago, but it might have been a year now.
Yeah, I guess it could have been a year. So I got a pack of, I don't remember if I got 10 or 5. Oh, these are the Coronas, though. So I must have got a pack of 5. It was $27 for 5 of them. So they're around $5-6 a stick, time of recording. So I think that falls fairly squarely in our kind of budget cigar category that we tend to like to smoke or tend to try to explore in the show, because we like to smoke cigars that hopefully most people would be able to afford without having to go expensive into a hobby that they're just starting out in.
Yes.
I could definitely see spending $5 on this though. Like the taste, the flavor for something as mild and as smooth as it is, $5, I could see on a golf course. I could see me smoking this on a golf course all day long.
Yeah.
I'd say it's firmly in that category of golf course, fire pit, mowing the lawn, that sort of thing, for sure. Very pleasant.
Is anyone else getting any cinnamon off of this?
Negative, no. Ghost Rider.
Normally, I have a very bad sense of smell and taste, so I don't know if it's just my brain wanting it so bad.
Maybe. I think
you're wanting a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
What's that? Am I tasting $1 million? Oh,
oh my. I did hold about a quarter of a shot of Fireball in my mouth and let it soak into my mouth, swallow it, and then smoke it. And it was a very pleasant experience. So it wasn't unpleasant to do that.
Yeah, I was debating doing Gravy's blow it out your nose trick to see if that would accentuate any of the flavors of the cigar, because that's a way to kind of get your palate hyperactive, I guess, with the cigar smoke. So I might give that a try here. But I did want to mention that Jordan brought over a bunch of, because we've been off and on for a little bit now, a year, 2 years maybe, about some nice Ashes stickers and some things. So he brought a stack of stickers over, and he, what do you call these stickers that you have to put on and then you rub them?
Yeah, so what they're called, which it's a sexual term, but it doesn't mean what it means. They're actually called UV DTF. So what they are is they're ultraviolet direct to film stickers. So it's a company that I've tried to partner with a little bit here, and what they do is they have this. I want to buy one of the printers myself, but they are $6,000 plus. And what they do is they print stickers directly onto a film just as it is, which is crazy because that's like the next step of the evolution for me in my, I don't want to say my crafting career, but my LLC, my business's career is probably this, but it's some pretty cool things that you're able to do with, UV DTF or just the DTF direct to film. You can print literally anything and put it on a shirt, heat it up, and it's on there. And it's a snap of a finger and it's done. It's some pretty cool stuff. And the UV DTF, the sticker side of it, you're able to put onto, wood. You're able to put it on, I put it onto a plastic bottle. I put it on glass, stein. You can put it on virtually anything. And I started putting it onto golf balls, and I'm seeing how that works. I'm doing some testing with that right now, but the bigger ones that I did, it seemed like they were, because of the shape of the golf ball and the dimples and things of that sort, they weren't able to stick on very well. The smaller ones were able to because they weren't covering up as much surface area, which 2 + 2 = 4. It makes sense.
And the stickers look really cool because only the bits that have the ink end up sticking afterwards, right?
Correct.
So that picture I sent you, Mike, of the stein and the wood and the little shooter bottle, those are all stickers that Jordan furiously rubbed with his hands.
Yeah.
Maybe moaning. And
Slightly.
Really cool because there's no, when you stick like a normal just vinyl sticker on something, if it's transparent anywhere, or sometimes it has like the oval or round background or square background, there's nothing there. It's just the actual ink part. So just the microphone and the cigars and the text that's on there. So that's really cool looking.
Yeah. So each piece of the sticker is its own individual piece. It all comes together, so it's not, as Nate said, it's not IKEA, where you have to kind of self-assembly required.
I wasn't sure what he was telling me about him. I'm like, do I have to sit there and like, okay, now this piece has to be 2 millimeters to the right and angled at 45 degrees, or?
No, there's no assembly required. It's literally, it's just a sticker, but there's no in-between pieces. There's nothing that holds it truly together as a whole piece. They're all individual pieces. So it's kind of cool for that fact where, you're not getting that white background. You're not getting that, maybe you want some of that white background. You just add that to the image that you're uploading and you have it, which is great. But, I thought that this was a good shot for, my first kind of step into this world of doing these. I thought that it was a cool opportunity with joining you guys here and seeing what I could put together.
Yeah, I think it looks great.
I agree. I think it looks phenomenal. I have a question that I'm sure everyone is asking. Could you put this on with a heat gun instead of rubbing it?
That's what I asked him. But he said, no, if it's on my dick like this, it has to be rubbed. And he said there's nothing sexual, but I'm confused now.
I said none of that. No, I haven't tried it with a heat gun yet. I think that a heat gun is going to get it too warm to really be able to not absolutely just scorch or burn the sticker. So that would be my only thing that I would say probably not. But I mean, I've always been the type of person that if somebody brings an idea to me, I'm absolutely going to try it. So I am going to try that, and I'll let you know the results.
Sure.
So there is a bit of a skill to rubbing the sticker on and heating it with friction, because you said some of the bits on the end, maybe you didn't get that tiny part
correct
hot enough. So when you're doing it, you'd want to try and make sure you're covering every part of the illustration.
Yep. And for me, this has literally been the first, within the first 10 to 20 that I've done. And I feel like I've gotten it down pretty well. It's just the ones that you try, it's what do you try it on?
Yep. Well, every design is different. And so for ours with our text, all the text is solo.
Exactly.
There's no background or anything, whereas the text underneath that's on the banner there,
that's simple.
It's easy because it's one solid piece.
One solid piece, right. And for me, my logo is just 3 small JTM, and it's super simple to do, super easy, unlike, the nice ashes part of it where there's a lot to it. So I think I did pretty good on doing it. And then, the little bottle that I did for you guys as well, is a little bit bigger than the area that was flat. If I would have done it specifically for that, I would have made it a little bit smaller to make it so that it fit into the area. But, trial and error has kind of been one of my favorite things to do with a lot of the crafting things that I've done, simply because you can find some pretty cool things out when you do some trial and error.
Yeah, and this stuff all looks good. You're probably going to want to make sure you puff on that a little bit so it doesn't go out. Okay, we're good. We're good over here.
I'm not used to smoking something, so I forget about it.
Could you put one of these stickers on, say, a bowling ball?
We could definitely try. I don't know why you'd ask about a bowling ball, though.
Because I'm a bowler, and it's brought up almost every single show, at least once.
So I want to join in on this conversation about bowling, because I don't think Nate actually knows this about me. But when people say they grew up in a bowling alley and it's because they were there all the time? Well, my story is a little bit more unique than that, as my parents owned a bowling alley when I was growing up. And above the bowling alley was a single family condo. They owned the entire building. That's where we lived. So I literally grew up in a bowling alley until my parents got divorced in the mid-90s, and then my parents sold it to my uncle. My dad and I continued to live there until we were able to move out and buy a house. But my family, I come from a family of bowlers. I have a cousin that's a professional bowler. My grandpa owned a bowling alley. He had 5 kids. All 5 of them have owned bowling alleys in their lives. So I literally come from a family of bowlers.
Now, before Mike gets all excited, wasn't this also like a Sandra Bullock movie?
It might have been.
Okay.
But little fun fact as well, just to make Mike even more excited about bowling. First Valentine's Day with my girlfriend that I've now been with for 11 and a half years. First Valentine's Day. You know what I got her? Bowling ball and bowling shoes.
That is awesome. That is awesome. That's great. I did not physically grow up in a bowling alley, but I spent a lot of time in an alley when I was a kid.
Yeah, I haven't bowled a lot in the last probably 10 plus years or so, but I've I got quite the history in a bowling alley, and I could go and bowl anywhere and get 200 plus any time of day. It's just one of those things that you grew up in. The training, my dad, super good coach, my uncle, super good coach, just kind of training me throughout my entire life. And it's fun. I love bowling though. It's such a fun little sport.
It is. It's great. Nate and I have talked about this endlessly, especially people our age, which are you a similar age to Nate?
Yes, I am.
Okay. So all three of our ages.
The same age as, or you're what, a year older than my brother?
Correct, yep.
So he actually went to school with one of my brothers.
Oh, okay.
But I didn't meet him until we simultaneously worked at the same company for, like a year? 2 years?
I was there for about 2 years.
2 years?
Yep.
And then I don't know how we even found out.
I think we were talking one day, and I brought up where I went to school, and you were like, oh, really? And then we started talking, and you found out that I played football there, and it was just kind of one of those things where it's like, well, did you know so-and-so? I was like, yes, I did. Yeah, like that's crazy. And, just kind of one of those things where I just...
the weird coincidences.
It is a weird coincidence, and, everybody says it's a small world. I always like to say life is a simulation. For some reason, things line up like that, and it's just odd.
Yes, indeed.
It does. It seemingly does, especially if you're in certain kinds of industries where everybody seemingly knows everybody else. At least tertiarily, for sure.
You talking like the porn industry, Mike?
Yeah, like the porn industry. There's just only so many people in the porn industry that you just know everybody, right?
All 12 of them.
All 12 of them. Yeah.
That's why there's so few like orgy videos, because the max they can get in one is 12. There's only 12 actors or performers, right?
That is true.
And do you legally have to have 13 to be an orgy, Mike? A baker's dozen? Is that
I think
goes?
Really you just need more than 3, or maybe more than 4. If
you're the expert, so we'll
take
your answer. You're the expert.
Yeah, I would say 5 or more, including the chick or chicks.
Yeah.
Or individuals of any gender. It has to be 5.
Unless you're Greek, then
right. Yeah.
Because the Romans added the women to the orgies, right?
So this is like rounding up rules. So 5 or more, go 1 more. Is that what we're doing here?
Well, I mean, if you have 5, more has to be better, right? I don't know. I know if you only have 3, one of them kind of goes off and, I don't know, checks their email or makes a sandwich or whatever, cleans the bathroom.
Well, that's normally the plumber, though.
Are you here to fix my leaky pipe?
Yeah, I don't think plumbers clean bathrooms.
I was lied to again by the internet.
If it's a good plumber, they might. I don't know.
I have the feeling that the plumber probably leaves his garbage behind him, just like an electrician does.
Yeah, I was going to say, I know electricians don't clean shit.
No. Do you want to pay $300 an hour for a person to clean up garbage? Yes or no?
It depends on if you do a good job.
Right.
And what are you wearing?
Right. Yeah. I don't know if you're aware of this, Jordan, but I'm an electrician by trade. So
I knew that. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. That's what I always say to people when they're, oh, you're Sparky. You guys are messy. It's like, well, do you want to pay $300 an hour for me to pick up my garbage, or would you rather have somebody else do it? Right. Like that's the answer.
So I've got a good question for both of you. You don't have a Trader Joe's up by there, do you, Mike?
No. I think the closest one is in the cities to me.
Okay.
Possibly another. I don't know if they have one in Fargo, I guess. Okay. Maybe Fargo.
But I know it's a little bit of a drive, but not terrible. You have an Aldi's.
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
That is within the vicinity.
Here's my question, and Mike, you might not know the answer to this. I happen to have a pretty good answer, but Jordan has a patent pending, or did the patent go through? Trademark? Your fat guy move?
Negative.
Okay, so that's what we'd always talk about at the office. He'd be like, he'd come in and be like, I had a great fat guy move the other night. I did this and I put all this extra food on it or something, and then I downed it. And so, that's kind of like a running joke. and I've made an acronym out of it. I've got a good FGM for you. And the first time I dropped it on him, he's like, what are you talking about? What's that? But anyway, so he likes food. I like food. Mike, you sometimes like food. I feel like
depends on the time of day. I look like I like food for sure.
Yeah. I look like I like food, mostly because I'm always eating it. Hard to look like you don't like food when there's food in your mouth. So Trader Joe's has these maple leaf cookies, which my wife really, really likes. But we were in Aldi's the other day, and they have maple leaf cookies. And they look exactly the same. Different brand on the box and what have you. But, surprise, surprise, they taste exactly the same. And now I know a lot of foods are manufactured in similar plants and same plants. So I did some online sleuthing. Oh, but first, Jordan, have you had both of those cookies or one of those cookies?
I've had the Trader Joe's one.
Okay. So apparently in Europe, Trader Joe's is owned by one brother and Aldi's is owned by another brother. And they were owned by the same family and the same people up until the point where they got into an argument about whether or not to sell cigarettes in their stores. So they had a family feud over cigarettes and thus split the companies, I guess, or split into two different companies. I'm not entirely certain. But apparently the recipe or the ingredients are exactly the same for both cookies, except for perhaps the type of oil used in the baking process. But as far as I could tell, and I didn't do a blind taste test side by side, but they taste exactly the same.
So this is like Crown Royal and Kirkland Crown Royal.
Yes.
Perfect. I've never gone into a Trader Joe's, and I went into an Aldi's many years ago with an ex-girlfriend, but I haven't been in one for a very long time.
Is that why you broke up?
Yeah, that's why.
You fought over the quarter?
That's why.
For the cart? Like,
yep. It was an ex-girlfriend that you met.
It was my quarter. Oh, no.
Yeah. You remember.
Yes.
Yeah. So that was how long ago was that? 14 probably? 10 years?
Yeah.
Somewhere in there.
Well, yeah, Sarah and I just celebrated our 10-year wedding anniversary, so...
Yeah, it would have been 10 or...
Would have been around there.
It would have been,
somewhere around there.
It would have been
give
10
or take
years.
A year.
Yep.
Wink, wink.
Yeah.
So getting back to these cookies, because, cookies. You said that you had a question for us as part of it, and you gave us this big explanation. What's the question?
Well, neither of you have had either, or both of them. Neither of you have had both of them.
Okay.
So I was going to ask if you noticed any differences between the two.
Gotcha. No, I haven't had both.
But something to try out perhaps on a cold, lonely winter's night.
I suppose.
Or like a fall night. Like a maple leaf cookie is a good fall thing.
I feel like maple should be getting a lot more respect than stupid pumpkin spice.
That was going to be my next question is where do you land on the pumpkin spice?
Negative.
Get that shit away from me.
Below 0% interest.
Yeah. What about you, Mike? You're with us, right, bud?
I like pumpkin spice. I would put it below maple and also below apple crisp, but it is perfectly adequate for a month or two a year. In a once or twice a year situation. I have not had anything pumpkin spice this year.
Yeah, I like the other spice. I like the apple spice, the cinnamon spice, like the spice through mulled wine. Like, yeah, hit me with that stuff all winter long. But
hit me with maple all year long.
Yeah,
maple Long Johns from Quick Trip. Let's be real; those are the best. Or the maple Persians from Quick Trip. Those are the best donuts on the marketplace.
I have not had those. I will have to try them.
Yes.
I have, and they are perfectly adequate for donuts, if you are into donuts. I'm more of a Bismarck kind of guy, so...
That's because you spent time in the Dakotas.
That is right. Yeah, that's because I spent so much time in Bismarck itself.
Mike, I think I'm halfway or maybe over halfway. I'm trying to gauge on Jordan's because he still has a full cigar left. Just teasing. You smoke at your pace.
Absolutely.
Do you have any more thoughts so far, Mike, on the stick here?
Well, I hate to tell you this, but I am 2/3 of the way through, and I was waiting for you to get to the halfway mark.
Okay, well, I believe I'm over. I was trying to make our guest comfortable and not stressed out.
Absolutely. What I will say is that there is a shockingly low amount of flavor change to me. It is almost identical right now as it was a third of the way through. The initial third did have a change, and then it's just stabilized. And it's very pleasant. It's less airy, a little more full, but still that like idealized Swisher sweet zone that is quite nice. Very sweet, very mild, And I like it. I mean, for what it is, it's very good.
I actually like this one more than I thought I would. And I like it even more with drinking the Fireball with it, because even though I believe I can taste some cinnamon like back notes on this cigar, it's primarily forwardly like a sweet kind of vanilla flavor. And I think that pairs rather nicely with the actual Fireball.
I will say, drinking the Fireball sip drink after, it does mix very well. And I don't know if it's truly like vanilla that I'm tasting or what it is, but it tastes super vanilla-y to me. And like vanilla Fireball sounds like a really good idea to me right now.
Yes. So does taking off all my clothes and streaking through campus. Wait a second.
I actually agree with Jordan on his assessment. I think that it does have vanilla notes, and it does pair extremely well. Shockingly so. Like, I was not expecting it to pair. I thought this would be like a Buffalo Trace situation, to be honest with you.
Well, and to be fair, we didn't drink Buffalo Trace with Buffalo Trace.
We did not. We did not. I don't think it would have made a difference.
Depends on how much Buffalo Trace we had beforehand.
That's true.
Is there enough in the world that you could have?
Probably.
Yeah, it was a perfectly adequate cigar.
We're not 21 anymore.
Wasn't what you were hoping for. It left a lot to be desired.
Well, it was a good, the Buffalo Trace, in my opinion, like, I like the label design, but it's the same logo as the bottle, It's a good-looking cigar. But, it wasn't, I thought it was just kind of in the middle of the road, I thought, right, Mike?
Yeah, it was serviceable. It wasn't fantastic. It was kind of like Buffalo Trace whiskey. Perfectly serviceable. Nothing to write home about.
Definitely not the Whistler.
Not the Whistler, no. Not Honor brand.
Or even that Isla Storm. That's a Trader Joe's that I picked up for our episode with Gravy. And that was quite nice.
I agree.
But that was actual Scotch, so.
I did start an Infinity Dram at home.
Did you?
I did. Yes, I did. So right now I have 4 different kinds of whiskeys in it. Yeah.
Okay. Maybe I'll have to get a decanter with a nice DTF sticker on it.
Yeah.
That sounds like a good idea.
Yes. And Jordan's going to give us his link. You have a website?
Yep. So it's jtmsourcing.com. The website is truly in production right now. Right now, it just takes you to like my chintzy, cheap Etsy page, but I am in process of getting a true website built and things of that sort. But jtmsourcing.com is my website. Feel free to reach out to me there. Feel free to just contact me, and I'm willing to customize anything for you. And if it's something that I haven't done yet, I'm more than happy to give it to you for cost, and it gives me something that I can now try to figure out and do and add more things to my repertoire to be able to provide more products and more services to people.
Yeah, and that's the thing. We'll put his website in the episode description. But I've been talking to him for quite some time about some nice Ashes type swag, and I think these stickers are fantastic. I was talking to him because I have it's like a composite or some kind of. I sent you the link for the one that I actually got from Amazon, but it's a single cigar ashtray, and that one has the Zifi logo in there. And so I was talking to him about, what could we put in there that would be kind of heat resistant and stuff like that. And he had all these technical terms that I can't remember now, but the point is that if you have a wild, crazy idea and you're looking online for like customizable this, that, or the other thing, and you can't find it, like I couldn't find one for those cigar ashtrays. It's like a super niche market, right? Not only a single cigar ashtray, but one that's made out of composite and that has a logo in it. It's not the 1950s. People aren't handing these things out at trade shows anymore because smoking is bad, I guess. But the point is that he was willing to do the research or look into it and came back with solutions, and we haven't tried that yet. But I foresee a nice Ashes swag section on our website sometime in the near future. So
yeah, not only that, but then I showed you the glass tumblers that I was making, and your immediate response was, awesome, got whiskey ones.
Yes.
And lo and behold, I found a company that I can get some whiskey glasses from that I can do sublimation on. So I could do some nice Ashes whiskey customizable tumbler whiskey glasses, and I think that that's a great idea. And it's just one of those things where it's, if you got an idea, if you got something like that, I love learning about new things. I love learning about or thinking outside the box. Everybody's got different ideas. Everybody's got different things. And that's part of the reason why I got into this world of crafting and stuff. Was I would see shirts out in public. I would see, hats. I would see these things. And I'd go, that's a really cool shirt, but it'd look better if it had this on it. Then I started doing those things and it was like, wow, this is kind of cool. Then I started getting compliments for the shirts that I was making, and people started asking, where'd you get that? Well, I actually made it. Oh, could you make me one? Well, not this one, because I kind of want it to be a one-on-one, but I could make something for you that's similar. So that's what I started doing. And it's just been, a lot of trial and error, a lot of just, people giving me these ideas. Last year for the Minnesota Timberwolves, I made a NWO shirt, which if you love wrestling like I do, like back in the day, I made an NWO shirt that was New Wolf Order. And it was the Timberwolves kind of in the background. It wasn't any copyright or any trademarked images, but it was like a wolf in the background of the NWO logo. And I ended up selling about 75 of them online to people when the Timberwolves were going through their playoff run. And that was something that a buddy of mine just kind of said, hey, that commercial that just came up, that'd be kind of cool to do something like that. And I was like, that's a fantastic idea. I'm going to run with it. And I did a little bit different than what his idea was, but it was an idea that came to me. And that's where, a lot of stuff where everybody's got these cool ideas, and having somebody to just bounce something off of that can actually make these things is kind of cool to be that guy that people come to.
Yeah, because it's one thing to have an idea, but it's another thing to know a guy that can make the thing happen.
Exactly.
That you can see how cool it is.
I'm so happy that you're a guest, because you came out in the right time. I need shirts.
These wouldn't be bowling shirts, would they, Mike?
They are. We got a new team. My sponsor quit on us, so now I have to. We self-sponsored, and I'm not going to say the name of the team on air, but it is not necessarily appropriate, but it's underneath the line to where it can get put in a newspaper.
Is it algo speak, Mike? It's algo speak?
It is not. It kind of is, but it's kind of like slang from when we were children. That's
dope.
Yeah.
Is that back then, or is that now? I know that lit is like the thing now. That's lit.
I don't think lit is the thing now. It's the drip and the Riz, and it's slapping.
Okay.
Yes, Riz. I just heard that one. I did not know what it was like 3 weeks ago. So that one's a new one for me.
Yeah.
I think we're all at that age now where it's like, what's that, Sonny?
Yeah, get off my lawn with your newfangled words. No, I just DJ'd a wedding this past weekend as of recording, so it'll be a couple weeks ago for you listeners. But, a lot of those were our age and younger, and so they were familiar with, that's slapping. I came out, and so I was DJing, so I had to look up, like, what should a DJ wear to a wedding? And the rule is you don't want to be the worst dressed one there. You want to be one of the best dressed ones there, outside of hopefully the bride and groom. And this was a laid back wedding, but I went black dress pants, black long sleeve button down dress shirt, white tie with, it had some iridescent thread in it, so it looked really cool up close, and then a black vest.
That was slapping, huh?
It was slapping. They said, the drip is slapping. And I was like, hell yeah, homie, you dope as shit. And they're like, get the fuck out of here with your MTV lingo. And I was like, Marky Mark. He says, word to your mother. And they were looking at me like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Who's Marky Mark?
My nephew bought a sticker pack, and he had an MTV sticker, and he didn't know what it was. And my brother was like, you should give that to your Uncle Mike. He'll love it. So he put it on my gun safe for me, and he's like, here you go. And I'm like, dude, that's awesome.
Hell yeah.
So
talking about old school stuff, really, have you seen what sealed VHS tapes are going for nowadays?
No,
man.
I just saw something online where it's like a sealed VHS tape went for like $1,500.
Holy shit.
I can't remember what movie it was. They're going to be
pretty upset when they get that thing because the video quality is terrible. Right? I don't know if you've seen one recently, but you don't think they're that bad.
Well,
but you go back and watch one and holy shit, they're bad.
I was trying to think about it like, do you remember how you connected like the 3 prongs to your TV?
Yeah.
I don't know if my TV has that.
You have to get an adapter.
They don't have the.
I mean, seriously,
our TV was old enough. You had to unscrew the little thing that you put the two over air antenna wires into, and then they're the Mike knows what they are. I don't know what they're the horseshoe type connectors that you screw a screw onto, and then it goes into the coaxial cable input of your TV, and that's how you got like FM radio on your TV or whatever it was, right?
You're talking about coax cable?
Well, it was coax cable, but you know those like speaker connectors that have the horseshoe?
Oh, yeah.
Right? So your TV antenna, you'd put this huge antenna up on your roof, and then that would come down, and you'd have like bare speaker wire type things, and you had to put those horseshoe connectors on, screw those into it with a screw onto like a metal plate on this little connector, and it was, I don't know, a couple inches, and then the end of that had a cord that was coaxial cable coming out, and that's the cable that had the very, very fine, delicate like wire that you had to somehow get threaded right into the middle of that thing, or it would bend and bunch up in there and snap.
And then you had to like straighten it with your finger. Like,
and then your dad was mad, your mom was crying, and grandma and grandpa were on the phone and
talking about getting divorced, stuff like that.
Yeah. And now kids these days are like, what age do you buy? It's not glitching. I'm not getting
the refresh rate's not 120.
I'm not getting 2,000 frames per minute or second or whatever it is. And it's like the eye can only see what the eye can see. People like I don't know what to tell you.
My internet's only 800 megabits. I need a gig.
Half of the time you're looking, you're blinking. So I don't know how to tell you this. You don't need that much.
But I couldn't believe that when I saw a sealed VHS tape going for like $1,500. I was like, what? I mean, who keeps a sealed VHS tape for one? For two, who's gonna pay $1,500? Like, I think we've gotten too ridiculous with money. Like, I don't think money is what it should be like.
Yeah, well, inflation would agree with you, but what I have seen is even non-sealed, but I'm talking like GameCube games. That stuff's not even really, in my opinion, that old, but I guess it is. But like, GoldenEye and N64. If you find the GoldenEye N64 cartridge, it's easily $40 at a minimum.
I remember when GameStop gave me $1.50 for that game.
Yeah. That's on the high end of GameStop's trade-in pricing calculator.
Oh, what's old becomes new again, It's all that. We were looking for a VHS player, and they wanted $250 for one that was verified to work online. So it's pretty crazy. You can get them for free from garage sales, but if you want to buy it online, it's $250.
What do you want a VHS player for, Mike?
My wife still has VHSs from when she was a child that she insists she's going to watch again.
Are they family movies or like Disney movies?
I like Disney movies and like all the stuff that we get for free on Disney Plus that we get also for free. I mean,
literally just watch it there.
I've never personally turned a VHS on in the house.
Yeah. So I do film stuff, and so I actually have a VCR that's hooked into my computer. Don't ask me all the different connections, Mike. It's not up to electrician code, but I have it hot-wired into my computer. Now there's adapters and stuff, and so I've done like family movie conversions for people where they have them on VHS, or maybe even like high 8 or super 8 or mini 8, mini HD, whatever. They're still tape cassettes, like magnetic tape, but some of those are actually digital, if you can believe it. And so I can do that kind of stuff. But I don't know why you'd want to, unless it was Song of the South. But there's an excellent 4K restoration on the Library of Congress's website or something that we watch for the show. But if it's in print, even with the Disney Vault, you can find these things, or they're on Disney Plus. So I don't know why you'd ever want to go back and say, oh, I'm really nostalgic and have a huge like nostalgia boner for The Love Bug. I just got to see that little car, and Don Knotts and all that stuff. I got to see that hilarity. Get the DVD at the worst case scenario. Go out, spend the 50 cents, get the DVD, or watch it on Disney Plus where it's 1080, it's upscaled, it's all happy-dappy, and it looks great. You don't have to adjust your tracking. You don't have to sit in the right spot in the house so the magnetic field doesn't disrupt the VCR for some reason. You can make popcorn when you're watching it. The microwaves don't interfere with Disney Plus.
For real though, I don't know the last time I actually watched or put a DVD like movie to watch a movie. I mean, I think I subscribe to every streaming platform that's out there.
I had the opposite problem, the absolute opposite problem of what Mike's wife has. I wanted to sit down and I bought myself the brandly new restored 4K scan of Star Trek The Motion Picture Director's Cut. Now for 20 plus, 40 plus, 50 plus, however old the movie is, Mike, you can correct me, it's only ever been out on like a shitty DVD scan or something. The director's cut of Star Trek The Motion Picture. I put this Blu-ray into my Blu-ray player, and the Blu-ray is like, well, it's a fucking 4K Blu-ray, and I've just got the standard 1080 Blu-ray. I don't have any 4K stuff. And so what I had to do was I had the digital copy activated, thank God, and I had to go on to like my Roku stick and go to the digital service thing that I hardly ever go to, and then it would play just fine there because it would downscale it back to 1080. But that's the opposite problem, right? Like, do you want to watch the 480 interlaced wonky tracking, and the more you watch it, the worse it looks? And then I am trying to just watch something on my Blu-ray player and actually physically inserting media. And it's like, no, this media is too high quality. We can't. Like, I can't help
we can't handle this. I've never heard that before, but we can't handle all of the...
Yeah, you wouldn't just put a 1080 on the 4K thing? Like, there's plenty of space on the disc. Like, I know the sizes of these discs that these companies use. You can do it. There's room.
Sadly, I do remember the last time I watched a DVD because Babylon 5 came out with a new cartoon last year. And Al, friend of the show, came over with the Blu-ray and we watched it on my PlayStation 3 because that is my DVD player. And Blu-ray player.
That's why I had a PlayStation 3 for the longest time, is because I watched more Blu-rays on that thing because it had the native Blu-ray player and it was cheaper to buy the PlayStation 3 plus get a couple games that you might want to play than it was to go out and buy a Blu-ray player at the time. Like, the PlayStation 3 was actually cheaper than a lot of the high-end Blu-ray players.
So if we're talking about PlayStation 3, I got to take this here because I'm speaking about nostalgic. So like a month and a half, 2 months ago, NCAA football came out for just the next gen, Xbox One X, S, PQ, whatever it is, and PS5. I didn't have either one of them. I used to be a huge NCAA football fan, year in, year out, buying it every year. Well, when it got to a point of players wanting money and all that stuff back in 2013, it was the last year they made it. Well, now with the name, image, and likeness deals, they can now pay players to be part of it and be in it. So what did I do? I went out and pretty much bought an Xbox One X just for NCAA football. And let me tell you, the game is absolutely god-awful. It irritates me so freaking much. I am so pissed off that I pretty much paid $600 for this game. It is so upsetting. If we're talking about nostalgic and PS3s and video games, I just wanted to let you know that. It just irritates me.
That doesn't really surprise me. AAA games have been really poor in the last couple of years. They just don't live up to expectations. They're not really getting better. I don't play video games a lot anymore, but I know that there hasn't been a AAA game that's came out that hasn't had some level of controversy about gameplay. Maybe Harry Potter Legacy is the last one I remember, and that had controversy for other reasons.
So, like, it's just interesting because you'd think, like Nate was saying, with the discs and the room that they have on these discs and all these things, you'd think that they'd be able to add more feature, more thing, more parts, more this, more that. It feels like the game is like half the game that it was back in 2013. Like in a dynasty mode, if you know football games at all, dynasty mode or playing online is like pretty much all you do. Playing in a dynasty mode, you can't even like practice to get your players better. You can't do any of that stuff. What? Like, that's part of what makes it a dynasty. Like, that's what makes the game fun. Is like, I got this freshman that's sitting on the bench and I want to try to make him better for next year. You train him. You can't train him. You can't do any of that stuff to make your players better. It just seems like it's been they had 10 years to make this game and they did nothing. And it's like, oh shoot, we said that the release date was going to be July 11th. We better get something put into place. What's the date today? July 7th. It's just what it seems like.
Yeah, and so I play video games online usually through Steam. And Steam, there's no disk storage constraints. It's only constrained by your hard drives at home or wherever you put these games. And We, my buddies and I don't usually play any of those like AAA type of games. We like to find, so there's one we've been playing for about 3 years now, and it was an indie developer. And we played it pre-release. So we played like the beta version for a long time, and they came out with like 1.0, and we're like, oh, here we go, everybody, 1.0, here it comes. But what I think is probably similar to what's happening in Hollywood, with the same with these game studios, is that nowadays modern moviegoers, modern video game consumers are willing to, at least for movies, let's say sit in the theater for 2.5, 3 hours for whatever reason. And so they say, well, we have a 2.5 and 3 hour window. We need to fill a 2.5 and 3 hour window. I'm looking at you, Ridley Scott, you son of a bitch. You come here and you fight me. Anyway, so you've got these people, and they're these, top tier directors from 20, 30 years ago, Ridley. And there's nobody willing to tell them no. They're like, well, this is the Ridley Scott. He's going to make Killers of the Flower Moon. He's going to make it 4 hours long. He's going to cast a Native American actress who has the same emotional range as those statues on Easter Island. Or what's the lady that played in the Twilight movies?
Kristen Stewart?
Yeah, Kristen Stewart. So she's got the same emotional facial feature range as Kristen Stewart. And it's going to be a 4 hour long movie. Also, Leonardo DiCaprio is there for some reason. And they have this runtime, and they forget about the actual story. And you think about these classic movies from the 80s and 90s, and you look at them, and they're 90 minutes long. Every once in a while, like Forrest Gump is probably over 90 minutes long, but every once in a while you get a longer one, but the story is there. And the story and the character development and everything. And now you just have these long movies, and it's like, we're just going to let Ridley take a camera out into the field in the oil derricks, let him go crazy. And he filmed a lot of stuff, I guess, and he was happy with it, so that's good for Ridley, but not good for theaters or the moviegoers in theaters. So, maybe it's the same thing with the game developers. Is like, we don't have the physical constraints anymore. We don't have to fit all of this onto 18 gigabyte or 16 gigabyte. The GameCube discs were like half of a CD.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And a lot of it as well, which maybe this is what they're thinking, maybe this isn't what they're thinking, but it could be something where every game nowadays, you pay $60 for the game or whatever it is, and then, 3 months in, get this DLC for $15. 8 months in, get this additional DLC for $10 more. Now, by the time that you get the actual full game, you're $180 in, and you're going, this game is still mildly mediocre.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it just seems like, I think you're onto something though with the movies, because I haven't really seen a good movie, like truly a good movie, in a long time.
It's been a hot minute.
So it could be the same thing with video games, where it's literally just, it's Sunday, everybody's mailing it in.
Yeah, I know a lot of it with movies and video games, because there's been quite the Concord. Have you heard the whole Concord thing?
I haven't.
So Concord was this big game. They spent years and millions of dollars, and they got grants for it because it's all, diversity and this and that. And Concord was live for, I think, about a week, and they shut it down. They legitimately shut it down and refunded everybody's money. Well,
was that Cyberpunk? Cyberpunk did the same thing, right?
They might have.
Because I know that Cyberpunk had this big hype around it, big stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it came out and it was like glitch after glitch after glitch, and it was just garbage. And they're like, we got to give people their money back.
Yeah, I think the Cyberpunk thing was glitchy, whereas the Concord thing was nobody was actually playing it, because I saw the numbers, like max number of players online ever. And the last 24 hours, because they have all these stats. And the game never got more than 130 players. That was the max number of players ever. So it was this big, expensive video game release, and nobody wanted it, and nobody wanted to play it. And Disney does this. Disney put out a movie, which I guess the people that have seen it and been able to find it, it was kind of like a family sci-fi type movie. And they're like, it wasn't, as good as E.T., but it was a fairly decent, kind of heartwarming Disney sci-fi family-oriented film. Well, Disney put it on Disney Plus for a couple days and then pulled it, and it's gone. And they do that because they can recoup their money that way by writing it off as a loss. instead of actually releasing it. But it has to have been released for a little bit. They get the abysmal numbers, and they can pull the plug right away and say, no, it was a loss. So I'm curious if maybe that's what Concord is doing by saying, hey, we can write this off as a loss, and somehow through all the stuff on the back end, we can say we've fulfilled the grant, spent the grant money, we can get another grant next year.
For sure.
But we can write it off as a loss somehow and cook the books or whatever they do. I don't know. I'm just a cigar podcast guy, and I don't really know that much about cigars or podcasts. So,
my dad once told me, you want to know anything, follow the money. That's literally it. So there's got to be something there that through taxes, through grants, through all this stuff, if they pull it within a certain amount of time or it didn't do what they were expecting and they just go, well, we got to destroy it. Like whatever hard drive it's on, get rid of it. Throw it into a lake somewhere.
Yeah. Corporate taxes are not the same as individual taxes.
Right.
I don't know how else to tell you this.
So maybe that's what it is.
But I do have a good question for Mike, because he's been oddly silent during this whole video game thing, despite him saying he doesn't play video games. I don't know why he wouldn't just still chime in. Wii bowling. Have you played Wii bowling, Mike?
Oh my God. Yes, I have played Wii bowling.
What do you think about Wii bowling?
All right. So I suck at Wii bowling. My dad is really good and I am terrible. But Wii bowling is a perfect example of why modern video games are failing. Because the Wii system came out. It had a couple adult games, many children's games, and it came out with Wii Sports, which is something that literally everybody wanted to play, and it's a lot of fun, and people still play it now.
Yeah.
And it was free, and people still play it. We still have it and use it, and it's just like a perfect little game setup, in my opinion, especially for the technology that was available at the time.
Well, and so I've played Wii bowling, Wii basketball, Wii archery, like all of those, despite never having owned a Wii, but one of my buddies did. And all of them, as far as the game mechanics go, are at what every game needs to be these days, I think. The game mechanics are easy to understand. Their motion controller works flawlessly with the game mechanics. You're not fighting the controller. Like the controller does exactly what the controller is supposed to do, which is it proxies what you're doing. So when you're doing the archery, you do like the nunchuck thing back, and like you feel like you're doing the thing. And when you're doing the basketball, right, you're doing the flicking of the basketball in there.
Is that all that basketball is the flicking?
Yeah, the flicking. The faster you flick it, the more points you score, I guess, or something. But if you slow down, then you get bonus points if you speed back up again later. Wait, basketball.
Yes.
Okay.
Basketball.
Yes.
It's funny that you say that, though, because, even thinking about the game mechanics of 2013, because I don't know if I've played a football game since 2013, when NCAA football last year. Maybe I played in 2015, but that game, I don't know if I played a football game since. The mechanics of the running, the mechanics of, you can now use this hit stick, you can use X to do a spin move, you can use Y, you can use triangle to jump, you can do this. There's like 37,000 different buttons. And it's like, it doesn't have to be that cute. And one of my favorite sayings of all time with a lot of companies like that is, don't get cute with it. Sometimes the basics is all you need. Just don't get cute with it.
My favorite all-time, because Jordan and I were talking before recording about golf, and my golf clubs are over back here in the garage studio, and I really don't like playing golf unless I'm playing golf with somebody who likes cigars and drinking more than they like golf. And then it's fine. We're out there. We're just hitting some balls. If I lose mine in the water hazard 15 times, we're like, hey, whatever. We're just here to smoke and drink. Good deal. It's a great day out. Whatever. But my favorite all-time golf game is Mario Golf Toadstool Tour from GameCube. And from what I've read online, because I was looking it up, because I'm like, why do I like it so much? And does it still, like, do people like it or not? And they're like, this game
does it still slap?
It slaps. And the Riz, fuck. Anyway, but they said, like, this game, somehow, they took this tiniest little, like, optical disc they could. That the GameCube takes. It's like 800 megabytes or something, I think, this tiny little disc. And they put all of the golf game mechanics into it. So you've got wind, you've got rain, you've got rough, heavy rough, fairway, fast green, slow green. The green when it rains is different than the green when it doesn't rain. You've got like you've got power shots. You've got
uphill, downhill.
You've got uphill, downhill, left, right, like all of this stuff. Like it actually overlays a grid showing you the topography of the course. And they say they took this incredibly complex like golf game mechanic, fit it in here and then put the fancy, like, funny Mario shit over the top of it. And they're like, mechanically, this is like the perfect golfing game.
Did you ever play?
But it's Mario and Wario.
Did you ever play Hot Shots Golf?
No, I didn't.
So Hot Shots Golf was very similar.
Okay.
It was like literally there's a bar on the bottom, probably similar to that, where you press X or whatever button. It goes up and it tells you like if you're close to the green.
Okay,
it has
sure.
like a little flag of how hard you have to hit it, and you have to hit X there, and then it goes all the way up, and it comes back down, and then you got this little green spot that you have to try to get it on, which is a perfect shot. Or if you go before or after that, you're going to draw it or slice it. But Hot Shots Golf was PS2, PS1.
Okay, sure.
It was like the perfect game, and you could read the green and press like the triangle button or whatever button, and it would go above it, and you could see, the little dots that would tell you which way the green is going.
Yep. Very similar mechanic, yeah.
Simple.
But it's exactly what you would do in real life golfing. Except you get a little more, information in the video game because you can like zoom the camera down there and like inspect this stuff. But I think putting constraints on these things, once we went to, even with Xbox, you can just download games onto the Xbox hard drive that never require a disc. So there's really no space requirement other than, does your Xbox have enough hard drive space? So there's really no space constraints. So these games can get as bloated as they want. And I say the same things about like SUVs versus compact cars. So my wife and I went to Denver and we rented a car at the Denver airport, and they said, go and pick one. And we sat in all these SUVs, and I'm 6'6", so I'm a tall dude, and I'm just crammed in these front seats of these SUVs, and the seats don't go back anymore. They don't go down anymore. And I go and we look at this like tiny little car. It's like a Hyundai or something. And I sit in there and the seat goes like all the way back. I got plenty of room. And it's like, well, the constraint is you have this much cubic feet. How do you make people fit in this space? Whereas you have an SUV and you're like, wow, my SUV big. I like big things. I don't need to consider seat in big thing fit. Like that's not how that works. You still have to design the space to accommodate people. And it's the same thing with like video games or movies. If you have no end time for your movie runtime, you can make an 8-hour Snyder Cut movie that nobody's going to want to watch because it's 8 hours of just nonsense.
Well, it wouldn't be 8 hours. What they do is they cut it into 2-hour pieces and go part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4.
That is true.
Now you're going back, and that's how they're getting return customers. Yes. Even though there's no storyline for the whole thing. They got 4 parts.
The book is like 50 pages.
Yeah. They're getting 4 parts out of you coming back 4 different times, and you're going, but I want to know how it ends.
How does it end?
I could just read the book, but I don't know how to read either.
Yeah. If it's more complicated to the back of my air freshener bottle, I'm not reading it.
Well, is it French air freshener or not?
Je m'appelle Nate.
No idea what that means. Is Mike still with us?
Yes, I am.
He went to go look at his bowling balls, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm fingering holes. I mean,
he's like, I wonder if Jordan would be impressed with my bowling ball.
He doesn't have just one, so I think he would.
Yeah, I don't have just one. So my dog is very upset outside. So there we go.
This is going to sound very sexual, but do you have a hammer?
Yes, I do. I actually used to be a hammerhead until EBI got bought out by Brunswick and moved their production to Mexico. So I have a bunch of old ones, and I got a couple new ones because not sure how much you're keeping up with it, but hammer urethane technology is just the only urethane that makes any sense at all. And my rev rate is just shy of 500, so I, of course, love throwing urethane.
Nice.
But yeah, it's pretty much non-optional to not throw hammer urethane right now with the oil patterns. Oil patterns haven't changed for 20 years. Really, and resin technology hasn't changed for 15. So the lanes are getting older, and the oil patterns are staying the same. So urethane's just looking better and better every year.
Absolutely.
So it kind of it reminds me of bowling in the 90s when they were still making patterns for like the old technology, but then the new technology was there. Except now they have all that changeover, but now the lane surfaces are 25 years old. So you're kind of in a similar environment to that. It's kind of an interesting throwback.
So my question is, if you have a bowling ball,
yes,
could Jordan sublimation print upon it and not negatively affect the rev rates?
It wouldn't affect your rev rate, but it would be illegal to do and use it in competition because you're not allowed to put anything on the surface of the ball.
Oh, what about what the ball is already put on there?
That is underneath the surface of the ball. So all the pretty balls have a clear coat over the top. It's underneath the surface of the plastic.
Okay, so what if he put on a sublimation print and then clear coated over the top of it? Would that
it would
be
have
legal?
to be USB-C certified after the fact, and it would
Who
have to go
does
through
that?
testing, which the United States
Some
Bowling
guy named
Congress.
Jim.
Yeah, some guy named Jim at the USB-C, but it costs like $50,000.
Jim looks at the ball and goes, damn, that nice looking sticker.
Damn, that's tight.
Fuck.
Wait,
Yeah.
wait.
That's slapping.
That's slapping.
That's slapping.
Yeah.
This
They're-
bowler got the drip and the riz.
Damn, this Mike guy's
Let
got
him-
some riz.
Let him throw. Let him throw.
Yeah.
Let him
There's
throw.
actually a lot of
Let
controversy
him
with
throw.
that lately.
Let him throw.
So, Mike,
Yeah.
in your opinion, would a clear ball with a rose in it, would that be a good bowling ball or no?
So there's actually
Only
a
if
long
Ernie
story
McCracken
about
is
that.
throwing it.
Yeah, I was gonna say my brothers used to call me Big Ern back on the day, but that would highly depend because they've abandoned that clear resin technology largely because
Why?
it couldn't pass hardness tests. So they really
I think
no
there's a
longer
pill
make
for
those.
that.
Right? I know. So they've abandoned that.
Do you know the story about that ball?
No.
So they were just filming at this like Iowa bowling alley, just this random bowling alley, and Bill Murray saw that ball. It was a house ball. He just saw that and he was like, "This is kind of neat." And one of the directors goes, "Somehow we have to get this in the movie." That was literally how it came
That's
about.
awesome.
That is awesome.
That's better
Yeah,
than a
'cause
still sealed VHS tape.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If
In
you
that
had
era,
a still sealed Kingpin VHS tape, I'd pay $1,500 for it.
All right. Listeners, you know what to do. Send them our way. Fund season 4 through 400.
Yep. So, yeah. Nate wouldn't remember this, but during that era, clear bowling balls were like the rage. There was a ton of them at that time. But
That was
now,
when Nate gave
not so
up on
much.
bowling, though. Was right
Yeah.
after those clear bowling balls went out.
I know, because my ball wouldn't pass Jim's standards, that son of a bitch.
Yep.
Dude, Jim can be a real hard
Well,
ass.
and then I got huge into pogs, so forgive me, right?
You probably had some badass slammer, didn't you?
Dude, I had the sickest slammers, the dopest, the slappinest slammers.
The
Any of these
slappinest.
young kids have seen this side of the Mississippi?
No, I'm gonna say another one. That's Skibbity.
Oh boy. For shizzo. Yeah. I had a brass slammer back in the day.
Yeah, me too. It had the real cool yin yang on top.
Oh, mine had
That
a
was the
monkey on
best.
it.
That was the best. Yin yang anything back then was like,
Ying Yang was the bee's knees.
Yeah. I still have my yin yang balls that jingle, the calming balls, or I don't even know what they were called.
the Benoit balls.
Yeah, Benoit balls.
Dude,
I don't think
that's
they
a
were called that.
fantastic.
They
I
were.
think
The
I
only
think
reason
they
I know
were.
that is because that's a Blink-182 song.
Yeah, that's
Oh, really?
that's a fantastic
Yeah.
pull, though.
They came from they came for your Uranus. They came for Uranus. I have that on vinyl.
Yeah, that's a fantastic pull. Like, look at you.
Yeah, I don't forget everything, even
You-
though
you
I'm the
impress
oldest
me.
one here.
You know, Shania Twain would say that don't impress me much. That impresses me a bunch.
Dude, I was playing so much Shania Twain at the wedding. All they wanted to hear was 90s country and fucking 90s rap. So it was a weird sublimation printing of music.
I don't
Those
know
things
how
go
that was
together
something-
nowadays, though.
Yeah, everything goes together if it's nostalgic.
Exactly.
Yeah, like Bill Cosby and his Puddin' Pops.
I don't know if we want to bring up Bill Cosby in anything.
No, just don't be putting it where it don't belong, and then you'll be fine.
Yeah, and
Pudding?
don't accept the beverage
Don't be putting
from
that
Bill
anywhere.
Cosby. Do you want to hear an interesting fact about beverages?
Yes.
Well, of course.
Okay, did you know, Mike, you might know this. You have surprising untapped wealth of knowledge deep within your head region.
And I'm just an idiot, so that's
I
fine.
never said that. You probably know
you
too.
didn't give me any credit.
Well, you went to college,
Eh,
where my brother went to college, so they got to know some stuff, right?
let's just claim CTE, though.
Sure. And so did you know that water is not a beverage?
What is it defined as then?
A beverage is defined as anything you can drink that is not water.
Interesting.
I did not know that.
So you could have a lot of fun.
So if like somebody says like,
that much
what's the
fun.
number one or top 5 beverages consumed in the world, water's not one of them.
Water would not be one of them.
Interesting.
So if you're a DJ making signs to tell people to keep liquids off your DJ table, you can't put no beverages allowed because that means water is allowed.
Yeah, but in reality.
In reality, no liquid is allowed, so keep that off my table, you fucking child.
Yes.
Which I did not say to a 6-year-old at the wedding.
They were 5.
They might have been 5. I didn't stop to ask, That's on me. I should have started from curious.
They could have been a big 4-year-old or 5-year-old. They might have qualified as 6, but they maybe.
The number of times I had to tell kids to not run around the speaker stands, and they're like, "Why, dude? The speaker is heavy and will crush you." Also, I don't want the liability, but I have to pretend that I care about your well-being, so I don't want you to get hurt. I don't want the equipment that I rented to be non-returnable. But also your safety, for sure. That's one of them somewhere in there. Priorities.
How'd that
I do
turn
have to
out
say,
for you?
gentlemen, I am done, sadly.
Yeah, I'm going to put mine out, too, because I've been getting... So, Mike, this is not going to be the appropriate lingo, but since we've been using like kind of old-school lingo, I've been getting some Scooby snacks off of mine that have not been entirely pleasant.
I had a little bit of flaking, and then I powered through it, and it went away.
Yeah, the Scooby snacks.
I like Scooby snacks.
Yeah, Scooby snacks. I had some flaking, had a little bit of lint in my mouth, and that's why I had the microphone turned off, because I was like...
Sure. Yes.
And then once all that cleared out, I smoked it for a while again. It was getting a little bitter towards the end for me.
A little bitter.
Same.
Yeah. And Jordan did catch up, much to his credit.
Oh, I was just dry heaving.
He was raw dogging it.
I was being a vacuum.
He was
over
Macho
here.
Man Randy Savaging it.
I was Macho Man Randy Savage. Ooh, I'm the cream of the crop. Ooh, yeah.
But I guess, I would say all in all, it was a very surprisingly nice cigar.
For me, I would say cigar-wise, I don't smoke anything. Cigar-wise, for something like this, I could absolutely see myself smoking this on a golf. Like I said before, I could see myself smoking this one because it's the vanilla type flavor that I was getting from it. It was pleasant. It's like Mike said, it's what a Swisher Sweet wishes it was.
Yeah, I agree. I did not really have high hopes because I don't have fond memories of Fireball, or let's say memories at all of my time drinking Fireball.
Fair.
So, and usually when somebody says, "Hey, do you want something that overpoweringly tastes like cinnamon?" It's generally no.
Well, why do Fireball when you can do Goldschlager?
Why do Fireball when you can do almost anything else that doesn't taste like a cinnamon lollipop or something? But the pairing I thought was way better, and the cigar was way better than I thought because, Fireball has its own connotations for things. And whatever. I mean, whatever your experience has been with Fireball, some people love it, some people hate it, some people are indifferent. But it's nice to know that you can enjoy the cigar without having to enjoy or necessarily be reminded of times drinking Fireball.
The only thing for me, though, with that, though, is I'm a little disappointed that you didn't get like a Fireball taste. Like something like, it's like, oh, let's go get some McDonald's. And it's like, oh, this tastes like Burger King. To me, it's like, it's a little disappointing.
Well, and I thought that I tasted some of that cinnamon.
Well, you can think that all you want. I don't think you did.
Well,
I think you wanted it so bad.
I might have.
You thought you were actually tasting something that wasn't there.
With the refined palate that can tell the difference between McDonald's and Burger King. I think.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if Jordan didn't taste it, it wasn't there, and I made it all
up.
I'm
just saying. Like, all I'm saying is...
What about Wendy's, though?
Dude, Wendy's slaps.
It all depends on where you're at, because the last time I had Wendy's, it was awful.
Oh, talk about Wendy's, though. Do you see that they're coming out with Wendy's next month? It's supposed to be in late September, early October. Wendy's is coming out with a Krabby Patty.
Okay.
Somebody's going to have to go to Wendy's.
Somebody's going to have to taste it. Maybe we'll have to have you back on, and we'll do...
I'm all about that.
A cigar, and we have to figure out what pairs well, though, cigar-wise.
With a Krabby Patty?
Krabby Patty.
I mean, I guess not whiskey. Not whiskey, not...
We're talking just cigar, though.
I think we're talking like Red Dog or...
It might just be a straight-up Swisher Sweet, I guess. Is there a...
They do have a ton of flavored cigars. So
yeah.
we could.
Is there a cigar below Swisher Sweet, or is that kind of the bottom?
I mean, I would call that the bottom for sure. Maybe there's a knockoff Swisher Sweet available that you can find at a gas station.
Yeah,
like Black and Mild or something.
Kind of like an egg roll you could find at a gas station. You probably don't want it in your mouth.
Right. I'm sure they make a product that is even cheaper than a Swisher Sweet, but I have not sought it out, so I have not seen it. It's easy not to see something you're not looking for
Yes.
sure.
Tune in for season 4 where we scrape the bottom barrel of gas station humidors that are really not humidors, but just plexiglass that are locked up behind the counter.
You'll often see them at Super USAs.
Season 4, Mike and Nate try to get people to pay them to smoke the cheapest cigars on the planet.
Yes.
Coming soon to an ear hole near you.
We'll have to import from foreign countries cigars that are definitely going to kill us. For sure.
So this one here has a fentanyl wrapper.
But yeah, the cigar that we had, I was very surprised pleasantly. I didn't come in with expectations, but I did fear it was going to be terrible. And it was not. It was quite good.
Which is an expectation of itself. I was afraid it was going to be terrible because we did do the Cult Blood Red Moon, which was nasty. And the Buffalo Trace, which was just, mediocre. But I would put this one higher than mediocre, probably. We should do our little rating, I guess, right?
Yeah. You're going to get there before me.
I already have it up.
I'm not going to look. Oh, you copied my answer.
No, mine was there first. Jordan saw it. We have a witness.
You copied my answer.
We both gave it a 3.5.
Yes,
out of
we
5.
did.
So it's better than middle of the road. It's one that I would definitely would. Like if you're looking for something that's, cheap, niche enough, it's got some flavor in there. If you do try this one and you do taste cinnamon, be sure to email me at nate@niceashespodcast.com and let me know, because I need to prove, at least to Mike and Jordan, that there's some cinnamon notes in this thing.
There's cinnamon notes if you want there to be cinnamon notes. Like, there's no cinnamon notes.
Are you gaslighting us or are we gaslighting you? That's the question.
Can I give this my rating?
Yeah, what's your rating?
As a non-cigar smoker, literally have not smoked a cigar since like 2007-8, I would give this easily a 4 to 4.5, simply because it was easy to smoke.
I'll give it a 4.25 for you, split the difference.
You're good at math.
And we'll add a guest rating column to our chart so then we can know.
That's a good idea. But for me, I just think that being a non-cigar smoker at all, this was super easy to smoke. Like, it was the vanilla type flavor, the non-cinnamon disappoints me, and the non-cinnamon.
You have to want the cinnamon.
You have to really want it for it to be there.
Yeah, but you can't expect it to be there because that's unreasonable.
I just, it's just the fact that it's Fireball. Like, it's got the logo of Fireball. It's like you want it to have cinnamon.
I know, but I kind of also didn't want it to have cinnamon, but I did taste the cinnamon. But I was glad that it wasn't overpoweringly cinnamon, because we chose to pair it with Fireball.
For sure.
So that would have been like cinnamon
and
to
for
cinnamon.
me, like I said, drinking the Fireball with it, the vanilla Fireball, it
paired
very well.
Yes.
Like, it paired very well. Out on a golf course, this cigar with some Fireball shots, incredible.
Yeah, you wouldn't even have to golf. You could just go out in a nicely manicured lawn, get yelled at by the owner, the housekeeper, what have you.
Yep.
Smoke this bad boy and take shots of Fireball.
No, this was a fantastic pairing. I would 100% recommend it to anybody that either isn't a cigar smoker or is a cigar smoker and wants to do something a little bit lighter than what they may normally do.
Yeah, I think it would be not a bad foray kind of into the flavored cigar realm too. Like, if you weren't overly familiar with that, even though we have our own preferences on the show for the all-time ultimate best flavored cigar, but this is not a bad foray into it. It certainly doesn't taste overly artificial or anything like that. So it's a nice subdued flavor.
I would say this is a great introduction to cigars for somebody who is not typically a cigar smoker, because it is very mild and sweet. So not usually our wheelhouse, but we're trying to make it more our wheelhouse. So
well, and every cigar has an occasion.
Yes.
Or could have. So, a nice everyday smoke or your golfing cigar or what have you. It's not overly complex. It's not your deep, late at night conversation, philosophical thought cigar, but a nice thing to smoke, drink some Fireball, or hit some golf balls that you could have professionally logoed by our own guest, Jordan. Be sure to check out his website in the link. Feel free to reach out to him. He's very happy to hear your thoughts and to help come up with how to make what's in your head happen in real life.
Perfect. Awesome, guys. Thank you. Appreciate the time.
Yeah, glad
Appreciate
to have you
being
on.
part of this. I'll have to come back after I have the Krabby Patty sandwich from Wendy's.
We'll do the Krabby Patty review. All right. Thanks for listening.
Be safe. Have fun.